How's it going, everybody? And I am continuing my great conversations in the Shelton School District with Superintendent Wyeth Jesse. How are you?
We're doing great, Jeff.
Week in or so as the school year is going. Give me a quick recap of how it's been.
4+ days. I think the term I've been using is smooth.
Good.
No matter how hard you prepare for a school year, sometimes things just happen, and unforeseen. Nothing new about some of our conversations, It's been so different. Just coming off the pandemic and all the things that you're trying to find. And so one of the things I say, it's funny, Jeff, is I say, the Shelton School District's not the same district as it was before the pandemic, and it will never be.
Right.
And it is different. Districts change, we change, start of school changes. And this year, knocking on wood, one of our best deals is we got all our bus routes running. Now I got some bus drivers going on leave. There's things that come up in the bus drivers' lives,
Right.
Because every bus does count, right? Like that's a thing that the public would be like, wait a minute, hold on. He said we're gonna have buses, and we have had buses. We're working on some transportation stuff and routing. We've been holding, kids getting dropped off 45 minutes before schools. We're working on that because we just don't have the supervision for it.
Sure.
And there have been some incidences before school even started. Well, you know how that's just all goes downhill.
Yeah.
For the rest of the day, it sets kids off. It leads to conversations and interactions that are not centered on learning. And so we want safe and welcoming environments for our kids. That's what we're working on. We're trying to get them to school, buses here, and our teachers have done a tremendous job of getting their classrooms ready. I invite parents to get in there. Schools are wide open. Love to have them come in and see just how thoughtful the teachers have put together their classrooms for their students.
Have you had then an increase in the number of applicants and bus drivers that are requesting jobs, or have there been other changes from OSPI on how you can attract bus drivers?
Not the latter.
Okay.
Definitely, just getting out there. We've done a huge campaign trying to recruit for bus drivers. I think we sent, 7,000 postcards across Mason County. We've gone out there on our website. I make announcements at every board meeting. I've got our board directors even out there recruiting. I mean, everybody's trying to get a hold of somebody who's willing to drive a school bus. And I think, sometimes things don't happen right away. But I think a culmination of folks making those efforts has gotten us some school bus drivers. I think that's the number one thing.
As kids are coming back to school, I was thinking about this morning, what are some things parents should do for homework as the school year starts?
Well, first, I would ask them to contact their students' teacher or teachers. Our educators should be reaching out. We got online platforms for our secondary students. I know that we meet with all of our incoming kindergarten parents.
Uh-huh.
Those are key moves. And then there's newsletters sent home, like in sending an email if you have questions of what to do, find out, because going off and trying to supplement or do something at home that's not aligned to what's going on currently at the school can confuse students.
Okay.
So that's one thing we don't want to do. But man, parents or guardians are an absolute asset when we're aligned, right? And that's the same thing like after school programs. I'm always telling educators or any of our community partners, I'm like, hey, we just need to make sure that what are the skills we're focused on for the student or group of students. Let's try to carry that through for the day, whether that's before or after school care, and of course into the household where parents, know their student best. And so those are really key things. I think the one thing I would just also say, books should be in your student's hand this week. I know that some books went out last Friday. We've got books coming out this week, I think, for a lot of the secondary students. So books are coming home and getting kids to have stamina. Reading, 10 minutes for every grade they're in. That's what I'm.
Wow.
That's what I'm really talking about. So, yeah, if you got that second grader, 20 minutes. If you got a third grader, 30 minutes. And so if you got a middle schooler, you get up to an hour.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with an hour for a middle school, junior high student, and of course a high schooler. But, and it can be a variety of texts. It doesn't have to be just reading the book. can literally be reading any kind of the newspaper, the ingredients on a box. Those are really key things to have print, and kids are reading and thinking. That will help us all around, always.
If a parent is starting to engage in this and they're getting the reading going, but they're noticing some struggles, either they have their student read out loud and they're noticing missing words, or they're just not having the attention, perhaps, if it's silent reading, what are the steps and how do they go about? Do they go right to their teacher, or is there a counselor, someone in the schools?
Well, first step is stamina is built over time. I know you're a runner, Jeff. So, I mean, and people ask you about running or whatever. You advise me, like, start slow, gradually build it up.
Yeah.
Take a break, right? They can't run every day.
Right.
And that's sometimes with readers too. Like, kids are building up that stamina. And if you're a student out there, maybe somebody who you're like, yeah, my kid doesn't really like to read that much. And I've heard that from so many parents and guardians. And I say, well, that's the beauty of what we're trying to do as a Shelton School District. We're trying to give choice to books. Forcing them to read usually is a problematic thing up on front. Making sure kids are into books they like, they enjoy the topics they like to do. I was last year in a classroom, I think it was fourth grade. Yeah, it was fourth grade. Student had his motocross book, and he was presenting to the class on motocross, and teacher knew that about him and his family, and they were really getting this huge story about motocross, and so I invite all of that. We invite all of that. And if you have a high schooler who wants to read a manual about how to fix particular engines, or someone's really learning about knitting, I mean, that works too. So parents, just getting them into the right book and building that stamina over time is really the thing to do. You don't have to really offer a whole lot of rewards. Usually we like to, if we're going to offer rewards, try to put it out there as far as possible, saying, hey, when you read a couple books, especially for young kids, too much of the reinforcement doesn't lend to itself to some of the internal or intrinsic rewards that we want students to do. We want them to enjoy reading because they like reading, not because somebody gave them some special treat.
Sure. And when it comes to that type of stamina for reading, how do you, in 10 minutes a day based on the grades, when it comes to homework too, how do you square that up? And what are kind of the ideals in the Shelton School District when it comes to extra homework or more work after the school day is done?
Yeah. I just want to get back to reading for one other tool, because I'm just trying to think through all the tools I can give parents. Read with your student, right? If you have a young reader, reading with them, picking out certain words they can read, truly that is really helpful. And just having a dialogue about, or a prediction about what the book is. That's a thing and then older ones, like, get at the same book or share a book and have dialogue around it. So anyway, I just want to put those ideas out there, some additional tools in our family's toolbox around reading. So your other question was around
homework time and being able to have, once you're away from school, not having hours of additional schoolwork, I guess.
Yeah. Just a general rule, homework should be practice of what was taught at school. And we don't want students to cringe or cry at home over homework. If that's going on, I invite the parent or guardian to email their teacher, give them a call, saying, hey, this is what's going on, and then work it through some steps. Because there's a whole bunch of varieties of why that's going on. The concept's too hard. We're back on stamina again. Or maybe sometimes, as every parent's probably experience, sometimes it's just they don't want your help.
Right.
Right. And so, there's all sorts of issues that can come in there. But the bottom line is we want to build the confidence of our students. We want them to be learners and have good experiences. Homework really is a part of the natural part of education. In particular, the research really supports homework starting in the middle grades. Tons of homework at elementary is not something ideal unless it's really about something that's very authentic. Again, like going together and baking, and we're thinking about measurement, or going to the grocery store and estimating how much you think the bill's going to come to, what's in the basket, and have you been adding it up, and
okay.
Stuff like, those little real life things are really more memorable and enjoyable and practical for our students. As they get older, though, the habits of studying and doing those things, they got to work sometimes you just got to build up those skills. You can't write a research paper necessarily at school, right?
Yeah.
And we're back to reading, of course. But I would just again invite them to contact their teachers if they're having a challenge with that. There's no reason again just make it so frustrating and grinding it out necessarily.
And I know we're early in the school year, and it's kind of a teacher-by-teacher basis, but what are your thoughts on parent volunteers as they become available, or if a parent has some time to volunteer in a school?
We love parent volunteers, Jeff. So come on down, contact the front office. We do fingerprinting. That is part of the requirements. Obviously, a volunteer form. They can contact the school. They can help direct them, or the main office here, our main number. We'll help get them set up so that they can volunteer in schools. Schools are the center of communities, Jeff.
Yeah.
And like I like to remind our educators, that's somebody's baby. Well, sometimes they want to show up and be with their kid, and that's a special thing. And being part of that, and other kids to see parents there that are in their neighborhood, just again accentuates the thing that we want here in the Shelton School District is a strong community centered around educating our students, whether that's core academics, but also citizenship. And so it's just parent volunteers, love them.
Very good. Cool. All right. Well, let's check back in a couple weeks, see how else the school year's going. I know there's always things to talk about. You can follow along with the school board meetings in person or on Mason Web TV. Also, you can check out the website, sheltonschools.org, with a calendar of events and plenty of ways to get involved.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Good to see you.
All right. Take care.